Hello stampers, welcome to this week's video. This week's theme or topic or whatever you want to call it is 1 card design and 3 cards. So this is the first card that I'm going to make in this video. Well, this is the only card I'm going to make, but I'm going to show you 2 other designs or 2 other cards that have the same layout but different stamp sets. And my goal with this particular theme is to help you see that you can take a layout and use supplies that you already have on hand. You don't have to wait until you can order in these supplies or whatever. Of course, you could always do that if you really totally love the card. But I'm hoping that it'll help you stretch your creativity by taking a look at this and seeing how this can be adapted to whatever you happen to have on hand. So let's go ahead and get started with this particular one. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out with our card base here. See if I can find my bone folder. Get this to have a better crease here. And let's get some scrap paper. This will work. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to take some white. And I do have some. What I did was I took this punch and a piece of scrap paper and I just punched out a leaf. And this is actually going to be our stencil. I've really been digging stencils lately. I don't know why, just really have been digging them. So we're going to take this, and I've got green on here. I'm going to flip this over. It's symmetrical, so it should be okay. And we're going to start off with our white. And I do recommend drying this with a heat tool or something, or allowing it to air dry before you move on to the next color. Just a thought. So I'm going to take this, let's just kind of put it off to the edge. We're going to pick up some white pigment ink and make sure you're hanging on to both pieces of paper, because as you're rubbing it's going to shift one or both if you're not hanging on to it. You can see how cool that is. Adds that white on there. It might be a little off because I didn't hang on to it as well as I should have been. Do this. And you could make the white pigment as intense as you want it to be. Okay? I'm really just going for like a nice little ghost effect here. Really trying hard not to let my green. I could tape this down, but to be honest, I'm being a little lazy. But you know what? I think I create more work for myself that way. I should stop being so lazy. Oh, as my mom always said, a stitch in time saves 9, right? If you're taking the precautions, you're actually saving yourself some time later. All right, we're getting some really pretty leaf templates here. Let's do a little edge. We really want them to look like they've fallen off the edge. Or maybe you've just got like a snapshot of one little leafy area on the ground or something. Let's see here. I wouldn't stress too much. This area is going to be pretty covered, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take this. I'm going to hit this with my heat tool, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you we're going to do our next layer. One thing, I did wipe this off just to get the white, because I don't want to turn this over and have it smear on here. I could just leave it like this too, because this is completely dry from this morning. But one thing I forgot to mention is if this is still wet after you stencil it and you want to give it a nice shiny like varnish look, you could leave it wet and put clear powder over the top and just heat emboss it. That is another option that you could play with that I think actually would be kind of fun. So we're going to do green next, and my recommendation is that you always start with the lightest color first if you're like me and you use one brush for the same hue, in this case green, because I'm not going to harm my old olive by bringing a lighter green to it, but I could make this not appear as Pear Pizzazz if I add a darker green. So we're going to take that same template here, and we're going to just overlap. This is a great, I think it's a really fun way to create your own DSP. So we're just going to create these layers on here. This is Pear Pizzazz. And again, you can make it as intense as you want by adding several layers. I'm just going on it once or twice. I just want a nice little, like like I said, ghosty look to it. Nice light, translucent. You really, as you build up your layers, you can really start to see. I was just really happy with it when I got done with it. It's such a cute card. Remember to go off at least 1 or 2 of the edges. Just like that. Alright, so there's my Pear Pizzazz. You can see it's already, I mean, it's good enough as it is. We're going to go ahead and add our Old Olive now. And I think when I took a picture of this and sent it to my husband, because I just liked how it turned out, I sent him a picture of all 3 of the cards with this same layout, and he said this was his favorite. So there you go. We got the hubby's vote on which one is his favorite. So I want to make sure I have a little bit that's not overlapped, and some of it is overlapped. I want some white showing through. I want some of the other leaf showing through. Let's see here. I need a little bit. Let's just do a tiny bit in this little corner right here. And then maybe the tip of it right here. It's kind of fun. I mean, some people love to scissor, like fussy cut. Some people love to stitch. Me personally, I think it's fun to stencil and make my own DSP. Alright, so you can see the nice layers that we added there with the white and the Pear Pizzazz, and now the darker olive. Just super fun. I just really liked how that turned out. Now that that's done, let's go ahead, set this off to the side, and let's start creating our leaves. Let's pull some white here. Don't really need this for the time being. And we need 2 big leaves, so we're going to use the Pear Pizzazz, pull in this color. Actually, you know what, on this one I did a little differently. I stamped off, do I want to stamp off? Let me think. I have to think about this for a second. Let's go ahead and go with the Pear Pizzazz. I think the original one I stamped off the Old Olive. But, you know, let's see what happens. It's fun to experiment. And I will be punching these out, so I have to make sure, if you're not sure what your orientation of your punch is, check it first so you can make sure you stamp it on your paper correctly to make it easy to punch out. So when I'm holding this, the leaf is right side up. So when I go to stamp this, I want to make sure that my leaves are right side up as well. And you may need to use your Stampin' Pierce mat. I'm having to press this rather hard, and I am a little worried that the middle is not going to stamp. Oh, I got it. If you don't want to have to work so hard, get your Stampin' Pierce mat. That probably would be better. All right. Normally I wouldn't press so hard, but gotta get that middle. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to take the shade darker, the Old Olive, and there is the leaf line, the little veins. We're going to use the darker, or the Old Olive, to stamp that on there. Okay, so there's those 2. And before I punch those out, let's go ahead and work on the smaller leaf. We're going to use the Old Olive for that. These will have to be fussy cut out, so I'm not really worried about the orientation. Just worried about this hole right here. So let's go ahead and just need a little more give. There we go, that's perfect. And we're going to do 2 of these. Great. I know my pads need to be re-inked, but I'm really kind of liking how it's not a solid green. If you want a totally solid green, you want to make sure you have a nice juicy pad. I'm actually digging on this, so I'm going to just let it go. So what I'm going to do next is we're going to punch out these 2. Let me close these up before I put my hand in it. And I always like to hold my punches upside down so I can see. This is also a candidate if you wanted to punch out a bunch of blanks and use your Stamparatus to punch them. Really easy to do that. And let's do this one, just like that. Now the next step, what I'll do is I'll take my little paper snips and I'm going to cut these out, and I'll do that and then I will come back. We are back. I've got my fussy cutting done, and now we need to stamp our greeting. I have a bunch of these labels. I just keep them in a little storage container. I don't know, I think my dad got these at Menards or something, but I'll put them in this little storage container, and then when I need a label or a tag for a card, it's really easy to find. We're going to use the Old Olive because I like the darker one. Of course, you can use whatever green. What beautiful thing about a monochromatic card is that you can use lots of different shades. So we're just going to stamp this hello. This would fit happy birthday. It would fit thank you, whatever you need. Of course, you could always leave the greeting off until you actually needed a greeting, and then you could customize it to whatever you need. So this beautiful vellum here, this is just newly available. I'm looking to see if there's a right side or a wrong side. Looks like this is they're very close, so it's hard to tell, but it looks like I got the more dull side. Put the tape on there. Okay, and then I'm not going to put anything on this side because it's going to be fairly blank. So now we're going to take our big leaves. Let's put those on first. We'll face one upwards. We'll face one maybe this way. And it looks like my leaves pretty much, did they turn out to be different shades or not? I don't know. This one should have been a little darker, but you know what? We're going to swim along with it today. We have a shortage of time, you know, all this crafting fun, and we just don't have enough time to enjoy it, right? So now I'm going to take my label, put some dimensionals on the back of it here. And now I'm just going to put this right over the top there, just like that. And then I have some string here from my stash. I'm just going to make 2 loops, just like this. And we're going to just tie this in a knot, just like this. And then I'm going to trim off the edges, or the ends here. And then we're going to take my pick tool here. I like the piercing side, and I'm going to grab a glue dot. I'm going to put that right on the knot, and I'm going to use this to help me place this right under here. Just like that. And my friends, look, this card is done. I think the only thing I would have done a little differently is I liked how this olive stamped lighter, darker here and lighter here. But all in all, I really like both of the cards a lot. So hopefully you enjoyed those. So let's take a look at the other cards that I made with the same layout. Here's this one right here. This one's made, it looks like I forgot to glue this. I sometimes do that where I'll stick the leaves in or the little sprigs and I'll forget to glue them because I'm like, yeah, that looks good, and then I get distracted and I forget. So this one's made with the Sun Prince paper and the Nature's Prince stamp set. I've got this stamped, and then this is actually the big wreath that comes in that die set, and I just cut it apart so I could put some white accents back there. So same layout as you can see. I just used a different stamp set. Let's take a look at this third one. And this one I'm actually doing for club in March. I had a lot of fun making this one, and I loved the colors. I mean, come on. Look at how beautiful those colors are. So this one actually has been die cut out of the matching DSP for this stamp set. The Irresistible Blooms, I think, or something like that. Found some Baker's Twine from my stash, and of course the rest of the stuff. But as you can see, all the layouts are the same, but I used different stamp sets and even different colors to make the card. This one I added a little bling, which I could do with these if I wanted to. Completely up to you what you'd like to do. So I hope you like this idea of taking one layout and seeing it 3 different ways. Hopefully it sparks your creativity, and you can look at this layout and say, hey, I've got something that'll work for that. So hope you enjoyed spending time with me today and watching this video, and I hope you have a great day. We'll see you later.